Welcome to a very special Zoom call-ins episode of Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
Libby and I are trying something new. We've issued an open invitation to romance fans, readers, writers, influencers to call into Romance Roundup's Zoom room to chat with us about their romance book recs, their new and upcoming romance releases, and their romance reading pleasures and peeves. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com. Hello, Libby.
Hey, Liz, I'm super excited for tonight. This is going to be fun.
It is. We're making history today, not just on Romance Roundup, but I'm pretty sure across romance shows online. BookTube podcasts. I don't know if anything like this has been done.
I've always said we're trendsetters.
Yes. But now I actually believe you. So what's exciting about today is we don't know who is in the waiting room right now.
It's a mystery.
It is. So I'm looking, it says we have 5 people.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
It is. So let's get to the waiting room. And then I have a piece of fan mail to read later on from author Lucy Morris.
Oh, I love her books. I'm reading one right now.
Ooh, which one?
It's on my nightstand or on my end table here. The Viking She Loves to Hate.
Ooh, you know what? I can't recall if I read that one.
I think it's pseudo newish.
Okay.
Or I should say new to me because you have turned me into a Lucy Morris fan.
Yes. Lucy's fantastic. So we'll get to Lucy a little bit later. And let's see who we got. We've got some authors. We've got Gramercy Books.
Oh, fun.
And we have our number one fan. There is a YouTube fan of ours who comments on almost every video.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so glad
Emily. You know what? Let's let Emily in.
Perfect.
Emily, you're our number one fan on YouTube.
I recently discovered you and I love you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk in person. So how did you discover us?
I was just searching for podcasts about romance books, and I tried several of them, but yours was just the most fun. So
oh, well, thank you. That's nice to hear.
Thank you. That's a fantastic compliment, Emily. So do you have any book recs to share, or are you just here to tell everyone how much you love us?
Well, I guess probably maybe both. Let's see. Recently, I've been really into Elizabeth Everett's historical romances.
Yes. Elizabeth is fantastic. I'm assuming that you've read The Secret Scientists of London.
Yes. I finished that series, and then I just got her newest, The Love Remedy, that I'm starting today. So.
Oh, you'll have to report back what you think of The Love Remedy. Yeah. So you're usually a historical romance fan?
That's my faves. I do like some rom-coms too. Like I'll do kind of more modern stuff if I'm doing audiobook, and historical, maybe I kind of like to read, I think is what I tend to do.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes sense. With historical, I'm sure there's a lot of things you want to look back on, just information. So it's just easier to do if you have a book or a
and sometimes the language is a little different too. So.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, do you have a favorite episode of Romance Roundup?
Oh, the sports romance episode was really good.
Was that the one where we had Sky on?
That was the hockey one.
That was the hockey one.
Yeah, there was one that was just like sports in general.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain is foggy with cold medicine.
The sports romance, I think we were a little slap happy on that one.
Yeah, and I wasn't even on
just
cold
really fun.
Yeah, and you want me to be on cold medicine? Is that what you said? Yeah. Imagine if we did the show on cold medicine. That would be
my gosh.
something else. Well, Emily, do you have anything else to share?
Something that I've been noticing is you two will always like comment on like the book covers, and I think it'd be like fun to do like an episode of like your like favorite book covers of romances that you've read.
That's a great
Oh.
idea.
That's a fantastic idea. I love
I need a
that.
pen. I'm actually writing this down.
Yeah, no, you take the
Fabulous.
notes today,
I'm
Libby.
taking notes.
You take the notes because that would be awesome. And that would, I love whenever we could do anything super visual on the show,
Yes.
even though I know that we do have listeners of the podcast, but this is primarily a YouTube show, like first and foremost. So I love, the visual elements. So that'll be really visually stunning to have just like a whole bunch of our favorite like book covers, and maybe we can explore some in depth.
Yeah.
Because some of them really are beautiful.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. It is officially on the top of the list. I love it.
Awesome. Well, Emily, this was such a surprise. I wasn't sure if you would have the time to call in. Thank you so much for, supporting the show and taking the time to comment, which not everyone, makes the time, and you do. So thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
Yeah. And when I do edit the episodes, I do think about fans, and I'm like, I wonder if Emily's going to have a comment about this. We'll see.
I know.
So thank you, Emily. And
Thank you, Emily.
yes, we'll be sure to give you some shout outs, especially when we do this episode with the book covers. We'll definitely.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. Full credit to you, Emily.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got to meet you too.
Thank you so much for joining. Seriously. I appreciate your support.
You've made our day, Emily. It's a lonely life doing shows online and not meeting people. So take care and happy reading, Emily.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Emily.
Let's welcome Zoom call-in guest, Felicia Grossman. Ooh, Felicia's joining us with video. So Felicia, you're calling in to just sing our praises, sing your own praises.
I'm always happy to sing a lot of people's praises, as we've had a lot of releases recently that are amazing, and a lot of upcoming stuff that are going to be amazing. In March, we've got Violet Marsh's Lady Charlotte Always Gets Her Man, which is sort of a Regency mystery-ish romance that I loved, was out.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heroine is about to be forced engaged to this guy that she suspects is a serial killer. And she and his younger brother have to set out and prove it. And his younger brother has been like in love with her forever and has a whole double life. It's very cool.
Okay. Wow. We could add that to our list.
Seriously.
It's really, really good. It's really, really different. And it's really, and it's super fun. And there are lots of animals, like exotic animals, because he has exotic animals.
Exotic? Like how exotic? You talk about birds?
Like there's a lion and a monkey. In contemporary Adele Buck, Fake Flame came out, which was really, really cute, and over 40 heroine.
Oh, yes.
Heck yes.
She's a professor. He's a firefighter. Yes. And she meets him after she has an annoying ex, and they start like a self-defense class together. Originally it's some fake dating to like scare away the ex, but it becomes real, and they have so much chemistry, and they're very cute. And it's a lot of fun.
And you said that was called Fake Flame?
Fake Flame by Adele Buck. It's one of Harlequin's newer imprints.
Afterglow imprint?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, got it, yeah. Anything with firefighters.
Yes.
I'm in.
It's very, very cute. It's very, very fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a release.
Yeah, you had a release. I was going to interject if you weren't going to mention it yourself, but
I have trouble. I did have a release like last week.
You did, and actually, I am currently reading "Wake Me Most Wickedly." I'm so enjoying it. You are a fantastic story. You are a storyteller. Libby and I both read "Marry Me at Midnight,"
and I loved it. It was so
we both loved it. And I believe, Libby, you mentioned it on the show because we don't like to duplicate. So she mentioned it. I won't.
Yeah, we did it on one of our. Yes, no, it was so good. And I loved how, and I can't remember everybody's names because it's been a few months. It was Aaron, right?
Aaron and
Yes.
Yeah.
Isabel.
No, Aaron was such a sweetheart. And I loved that it was like Cinderella flipped. And that just made it so much more enjoyable for me because I love a good fairy tale retelling. And that was just so cute. And he was such a sweetheart. And I loved him.
Yeah. And
Oh,
book
thank
two is,
you.
yeah, and book 2 is Snow White.
Oh,
Yes.
oh my gosh. How
And,
did I miss this already?
And Aaron so far has popped up. So Aaron is still
Oh,
around.
yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron's around. Isabel will be around too. Isabel's grandmother will be around.
Yes.
From the first book, Roger and Rebecca will be around, and they get a book. They do get a book. It's
Okay.
Oh,
next.
yay.
Oh, nice. Now, are you working on book 3 in the
Book
series?
3 is in. Hopefully, I'm getting edits back on that one soon. That's going to be a 2025 release, and there will be a book 4.
Oh,
Okay.
yay.
Wow. Now, can you give a hint as to what fairy tale is explored in book 3?
Yep. Book 3 is Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast reversed.
Oh, yes. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. This
Oh.
is getting better and better.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Oh my God. I'm anything with Beauty and the Beast. Okay.
Yes, I'm a sucker. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Oh my God. I got chills.
That was a challenge. That one was a challenge to write. It was a challenge to write with characters who already existed for 2 books.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
if you don't already have a recluse, you have to recluse a character.
Right. You have to recluse them.
I like that sentence.
I love it.
Well, because I think that's like when you're doing fairy tales, I think you have to like sort of do what's fundamental to, like, there are fundamental elements to them that you, even
Sure.
when you play them, you have to respect. Like I always say that Cinderella's about hope, about the triumph of hope and
Yeah.
things of adversity and things like that. And Snow White is really about jealousy
You're right.
at its
Yes.
core.
Yep.
Beauty and the Beast is a little bit about transformation, is about seeing beyond and transformations, but you need a recluse for that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then if you say got to Sleeping Beauty, that one's about revenge.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited. Do you have any other book recs or book news to share with us?
Even though it's not till June, Liana de la Rosa's Isabel and the Rogue, second book in the Luna Sisters series. It's so good. I got to read that one
Oh.
early. It's amazing.
Are they pretty much standalones, would you say? Or
You consider standalones. I mean, what's interesting, it's a 3 sisters series, and this 3 sisters have very strong, different personalities and very much follow what an older sister, a middle sister, and a younger sister is like,
Oh,
which is
fun.
really
Oh.
interesting. And this is the middle sister book, as well as very much the bookish sort of nerdy middle sister.
Got it.
But I love her book. I would say in historical fiction with strong romantic elements, in May, there is a book coming called The Paris Affair. It's male.
Mhm.
It has mystery out. It's by Maureen Marshall.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Oh.
It's a set at the building of the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
And
That's
it's really,
interesting.
Wow.
yeah, it's about between an architect and a potential investor, and who might have like an agenda of his own.
Okay.
And the architect is from England, has a mysterious past there, and he's an unreliable narrator, and
Oh,
it
wow.
is so good.
I am intrigued. That sounds really interesting.
That sounds like a rich story. Is it I always feel lazy when I ask this, but what's the page count on that?
Somewhere in the 3s, I think.
Okay.
Perfect.
Because the way
I
you
mean, it's not
described it, I was
like-
thinking like 500 pages.
No, it's not like 500 pages. It's not that long. I mean, it's a quick read,
Okay.
but it's for a book that has as much romance and sort of mystery in it.
Yeah.
The way the setting is done in it, and
Yeah.
the history is so beautifully woven in there
Okay.
Oh,
that it's absolutely incredible.
Wow. Wow.
that
You
sounds
really,
really good.
you really came with the book recs today.
Seriously.
Felicia.
There's so many coming out. I'm like missing. I'm like Lisa Lynn has one next week. Bethany Meets Her Match, which is contemporary. The end of that series.
Okay.
It's cute rival doctors romance.
Oh.
They're both competing for a fellowship, and heroine is very competitive, very, very competitive, and really feels like she needs to be the best at everything. And they both have all of this sort of pressure. There are two people who have a ton of pressure on them, and she especially doesn't want to fall. It's really cute. I mean, there are so many things coming out right now.
Yeah.
I'm excited about all of this.
Spring is big. Spring is super big.
Well, thank you for joining us and sharing your book recs and your book news. Thank you so much.
Felicia.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, Felicia.
Oh my gosh, thanks for
You're a
joining us.
sweetheart for joining us. Let's welcome Zoom call-in guest Amy. It's a pleasure to meet in person.
Yeah,
You've
I've been a long time commenter.
You've been watching Reader Seeks Romance channel shows for a while.
Yeah, no, Lauren Smith got me onto you guys. I think she was one of the first people you interviewed.
Yes. And actually, Lauren is actually in the waiting room. She's gonna come on after you. So now, do you primarily watch Romance Roundup as opposed to listening to it, Amy?
Yeah, I mostly watch it, though. It's like one of those, I have it on my headphones while I'm doing dishes. So I sort of listen, but I also like glance over at the screen every so often.
Okay, good. I'm glad you still get to catch the visuals.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now you've also won a few giveaways. I think we had a few giveaways too at the beginning of Romance Roundup. Yeah. And I think you might have even won other giveaways for other shows on the channel because you've been a long time supporter, and we thank you for that for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any romance book recs to share or any romance reading peeves and pleasures to comment on?
Yeah. I think I'm like one of the only people in all of Romancelandia that likes the secret baby trope.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Everyone hates it. I'm used to getting all of the, how could you love that? But like, I don't know, it's ridiculous and I kind of love it.
No, what's your favorite that you've read recently in that trope? Because we're always looking
I have not read anything recently in that trope. It's really sad. If anyone has recommendations to give me, because it seems that trope has like almost all gone away, except for like niches of dark romance where they'll have it, but it's not really a secret when you're like, your werewolf mate can smell it on you or whatever. But like,
good point.
If anybody has any recommendations, I would love to have them. But as far as like other things that I like, I mean, I am a huge Sierra Simone advocate, and obviously Lauren Smith. And I would like to plug Jillian Graves is in my writers group, and I adore her work. It's really good. And Daria Vernon. Actually, Daria Vernon just released a new one, a free novella on her newsletter, I think, with a beautiful cover just today.
Ooh.
And what's that author's name again?
That's Daria Vernon.
Vernon. Okay, got it. Going back to your Jillian Graves comments, I'm a big fan of Jillian's work as well. Now, are you a writer yourself?
I am, but I've not published anything, so I'm not like a real author or anything, but I do write. Okay. I've been writing my entire life, and my thing to write is witches in love.
Oh, very cool.
Love. Okay.
I like to be a good witch.
I dig it.
That's awesome. So is it witches, is it like on the darker side of romance, or is it kind of, and I don't want to say cutesy witches because I know that sounds silly, or is it a little bit more, lighthearted witches?
Yeah, no, I do think that there's a lot of lighthearted witches, like a lot of funny witches that are out now, and I am not that.
Okay.
Definitely a little bit darker, but I would nowhere near dark romance. That is not something I can write, but it is definitely something I read occasionally, but it's not something I can write. And I think I straddle between cutesy and a little bit darker themed.
I like the balance of that. That sounds intriguing.
It seems like as of late, there's been more of the cutesy rom-commy witch heroines and whatnot. And I think I'd like to read something darker. I like to read something like, where the witch is doing some real damage to people. but lovable, but has a heart of gold. But really,
I will definitely let you know then, because mine have hearts of gold, but also in the last scene I wrote, one of them ripped the arm off of somebody. So
Oh, I'm already intrigued.
well, if you need a beta reader, I've done it before, and I would gladly beta read for you, Amy.
Thank you. I'll keep you in mind.
Please do. All right, Amy, thank you so much for your support and for taking time to chat with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good
No
luck.
Oh my gosh, anytime. Thank you.
No problem. Bye. Take care. Happy reading. Okay, who do we have here? Oh, it's Nikki, our favorite
Nikki.
bookseller from Gramercy Books.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello. Thank you for
Oh.
joining us.
I'm good.
So what are you excited about with spring releases? Because we've already been getting some fantastic suggestions. And now, Nikki, we are asking you for what you are loving right now.
First of all, this is my cat laying on my pants.
Oh.
I'm very professional. So I'm actually in a little bit of a reading slump. I went through a reading slump where I read 3 or 4 books, not romance books, that I was very excited for, and they just did not deliver. So I took a little bit of a break. By a little bit of a break, I mean I read 3 nonfiction books instead, and that seemed to be a good palate cleanser. So the first fiction book that I've read in probably 3 weeks, I'm about 75% of the way through, and it's Emily Henry's Funny Story, which I'm sure everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, but what do you think? Because
I love it. Have you heard bad things?
not about this one. And I'm not saying that I have not read the one that came up before this, which is it Happy People, Happy Place?
Happy Place. Yeah.
Yes. I haven't read that, but that one I have not been I was expecting to hear a lot more rave reviews. And so when people were kind of like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So I haven't heard anything about Funny People. So that's why I'm curious.
So it comes out next Tuesday, the 23rd. Which it's coming out in hardcover first, which is something she started doing. Not very many romance books do it, but I guess when you're Emily Henry, you can do whatever you want.
You can write the rules.
You can write the rules. So I've noticed that with her books, it's kind of like an ebb and flow. Beach Read was like really, really popular. Her debut, everyone was obsessed with it. People we meet on vacation, people less jazzed about that one. A lot of people seem to have problems with that one. Book lovers,
I loved that one.
You love that one?
I love that one.
That was the first one I read from her, so I liked it enough to keep reading them. But I heard that most people, that was their least favorite. And then people really liked Book Lovers, it seemed. I really liked Book Lovers. And then this most recent one, Happy Place, seemed a little bit less excited. But this one I really, really do love. So have you already talked about it this time? People know what it's about?
No, we haven't talked about it yet.
We haven't.
Okay. So essentially it's like this main girl, Daphne. She's uprooted her life and moved to follow this man that she's in love with. She's never let anyone get close, but finally she lets someone get close and they fall in love, and it's so great. And then he, at his bachelorette party, because they're engaged, at his bachelorette party, he comes home and he's like, this is so awkward, but I'm actually in love with my childhood best friend and she's in love with me and she told me last night and we're gonna be together. So can you move out of our house?
Oh no.
She's like, I don't know what to do. And then someone knocks on the door and she answers it. And who is it? It's the now ex-boyfriend of the girl that her fiance dumped her for. And she needs somewhere to live, Libby.
Oh my gosh.
Love that.
Yes.
Libby loves stories where people are unhomed and have to find some place to live.
I know. I thought about you. I thought about you.
This is now on the top of my list now. This is amazing.
So his name is Miles.
What a cute name.
Yeah, his name is Miles. He's got a crazy breakup beard for most of the story. But she, goes to live with him because she has nowhere to live, and she loves her job as a librarian. We're still on the book
oh my gosh
trend. And he works at a winery. So
this is written for me.
Yeah, and it's very like small town charming. So you would like that too. So she's living with this guy, and of course, they both get invitations to their ex's wedding because they think that they're being bigger people. So they're like, hey, we should go. We should team up and fake date and make them jealous and show them what they're missing. Not necessarily to win them back, but more, which I'm actually happy about. I don't like when it's like, I'm gonna win them back. Yeah. So they do that just to show like, this is what you're missing. We're great people. And, obviously things go from there. And he's trying to convince her not to move because she's very unhappy because she kind of changed her entire life to be Peter's fiance. His friends, she went places he wanted to go. They had hobbies that he liked. And she's in this town that she hasn't really made any friends of her own. And so Miles offers to show her around. And every Sunday they go do a different excursion that she wouldn't have done had she been with Peter. And it's very good. I love it
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh,
Wow,
it sounds
yeah.
perfect.
I think people will really like this one because it has a lot of tropes. Like there hasn't been only one bed so far, which is great, but it has a lot of tropes that,
Yeah.
but in a way that isn't annoying. Like I hate when people fake date to try and win back the exes or,
Okay.
you know,
Yes.
and I think that this one, she might have done something that she's been trying to do for a couple of books that didn't really land with me, where she tried to make you really care about each character. Like we've
Okay.
talked about how like, Abby Jimenez makes you like you really care about the characters and they're going
Yes.
through very real things. And in this case, I think that she is actually succeeding in it in a way that she hasn't before. Like Miles, he has like some parental issues that he is like jaded from. And Daphne, you know, she really talks about like how her dad was absent and how because of that, like she found her home at the library because her mother was always working. And so they each have their own baggage in a way that really is complementary. And you really think that that's one of the reasons that they work so well together. So it's really good. And I think everyone should read it.
Oh, well, you sold me, Nikki.
Yeah.
In a very long-winded way, as usual.
No, please, I
I
like your
loved every
long-winded way.
second.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Well, Nikki, thank you so much for joining us
Yes.
today. This was a treat.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Thanks
Bye.
for coming in.
Let's welcome Zoom calling guest author Lauren Smith, who also writes as Emma Castle. You're here as Lauren Smith and not Emma Castle, correct?
I'm here as whoever.
So Lauren Smith, your work has been mentioned a few times on different episodes, and also your other pen name, Emma Castle, also has made it on to the show. Now, you have a couple of books coming out. A Sinful Gift,
Yes.
which is you as Emma Castle. What is A Sinful Gift about? Because you don't usually do, like, this is a menage, right? Like, you don't usually do menage, like, erotic.
Oh,
I mean, you write steamy.
So I do have, under Lauren, I have one menage, The Bite of Winter. It's 2 Irish bachelor vampires and 1 girl. So everyone's fantasy, right? And
go
then
on.
I did, yeah, right, do tell. I'm here for it. Pull up a chair. And then the other one, I did actually have a super short story that I wrote for an anthology, and it was rejected, sadly, which I always just take as a sign from the universe that it was meant to do something else.
Yeah.
And it's literally 5,000 words, and it's called Captured by the Prince, and it's an Emma Castle little teeny short story. Like you can read it over a lunch hour. And it's a girl that's a princess, and she's run away from, she's not living the princess life, and the prince she's supposed to marry and his bodyguards show up to collect her, to take her home. And so it's just steamy and super short and fun. And so Sinful Gift is kind of along those lines where it's not, I know a lot of people expect the Emma books to be dark and emotional and deep and everything. Well, I'm like, this is just pure fun. It's light. It has a kidnapping trope at the beginning, but it's just supposed to be fun. Just like read it at lunch and just use it. I call it like a palate cleanser. It's like people always like finish a really deep book and they're like, I just need something light. I'm like, this is it. This is your choice. Download it and read it whenever you need it.
You also have the Feeding the Rogues. Feeding the Rogues.
Feeding sounds so ominous.
Book. You have an historical romance coming out under Lauren Smith. The Care and Feeding of a Rogue?
Of Rogues, yes.
Okay, which I also pre-ordered. You are one of my auto pre-order author. I don't have many of them, but you are definitely, you and Emma. Can you tell us a little bit about the Rogues, the Feeding of the Rogues?
So to go back briefly to palate cleansers, so not as just a reader, but as a writer, A Sinful Gift was a palate cleanser that I wrote to sort of take a deep breath, because this Care and Feeding of Rogue story started out and I thought it was going to be a decent amount shorter, and now it's looking like not just a full-length novel, but possibly a nice weighty novel, like on the more, not like the longest I've ever done, but definitely more long than some of my other things I've done recently in the last couple of years. So I probably doesn't mean much to readers, but 90,000 words versus 60,000 words. So you're talking about 400 pages versus 300 pages kind of difference. And So when I needed a break from that, I wrote A Sinful Gift to kind of just take a break, because when I get into these stories, I really feel every emotion. And I think, I don't know how a lot of other writers do it. I know some are like me, and you feel every slice, and people always say, oh, do you write other people in your book? I'm like, no, I write myself into every character. I'm part of the hero, I'm part of the heroine, I'm everything that they're feeling, I am in that moment with them, and some of my emotions, some of the things I've gone through. And so I think with this particular heroine, she's a scientist, she's into studying the natural world, she has no time for men, she's living her own life and fully involved in her passions, which is something I really relate to. I'm a single person, no children, not dating anybody. I'm very involved in writing. I'm very obsessive about it. I enjoy it. And I don't really do a lot of other things. Yeah, I mean, I have like hobbies and stuff, outside of writing, which used to be a hobby. But when I wrote this heroine, and I'm still actually writing the book, it's literally, we've got like 3 or 4 chapters left, but that's how long it's taken me. It's such a complex story about her, she gets into a wager with Sherlock Holmes essentially to learn men, because he lives next door to her society where she studies everything but men essentially. And he annoys her society by playing the violin. So she goes over there and a challenge is made. So she has to study a morally gray man. So he picks an earl who had killed a man in a duel. And he's like, well, this guy's just come back from exile. Why don't you study him? Tell me what makes him tick, figure him out. So she lures him into an interview, this earl, she's like, I'm going to study you. I'm going to follow you to the gentleman's club. And he's like, really? You can't? She's like, oh, I'll find a way in. And she ends up dressing like a boy and getting into a fight in a card game and, cheating and getting a bad guy. Oh, it's really funny. I mean, they're like drinking, booze and stuff and having a great time. She's like, being a man is fun. And he's like, yeah, I guess it is. But,
you're really good. You're really good at writing action, adventure.
I jokingly can never not throw somebody in danger too. So there's always an element and some villain running about.
When is that coming out? It's
editing.
You're still writing it.
Okay.
I have like 3 or 4 chapters left to write. I'm literally going on a writer cruise in like 3 or 4 days. And so I'm like, well, I will be working.
Awesome. Oh, a writer cruise, meaning it's like a retreat, a writing retreat? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to be presenting to like other writers, and it's kind of retreat-ish in that it's kind of workshop-y. So there's some workshops, some small group stuff, and I'm just there to hang out and then talk randomly to anybody that wants me to present on something. So
that's cool.
That's really interesting. Is that like an invitation only, or do you apply to be on this cruise?
Well, I know the guy running it, and I was like, hey, I want to go on a cruise, and I want it to be sort of writer related so I don't feel too bad. Because like I feel like I have to justify every vacation I take, which it's one of those things. I'm like, because I'm not super rich, but it's like, well, if I go and learn something and if I interact with other people, I'll feel like it makes sense to do this.
That's a type of gig Libby needs to get. Libby writes small town romance. Like you need to do like a train. Oh, that'd be fun. One of those train rides. Yes. And you could like teach classes on a train, because I feel like that's more in line with small romance than a cruise ship.
Oh, like if you go to this train car, it'll be like the sweet sappy stuff.
Yeah, each train car has a different like workshop, and it's all like small town, cozy.
I mean, I'd be down for that. If anyone watching or listening has a train,
please make that. Getaway. I would love a train vacation. That would be so cool. I would like to do like the Trans-Siberian train, or the Orient Express.
Yes. Oh, that'd be so cool. There's
and then of course
so romantic about it.
I've always wanted to be on a train where someone gets brutally murdered, and I have to figure out who did it.
And we're stranded in some country that ends in Iria, and no one's got their passports.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Have you read any romance novels recently that you could recommend, Lauren or Emma? I don't know which one of you's been reading.
I'm speaking on behalf of both of myself. I am reading Charisse Sinclair, and okay, so the backstory on her is I met her in 2015 at my very first and only RT, Romantic Times book.
Oh yeah, wow.
That's and cool. She happened to, she was Sinclair and I was Smith, so our tables were next to each other, and I had just started reading her books, and I pulled up with my little crate and I saw her and I went, oh my God, you're Charisse freaking Sinclair. I'm like, I love you. And of course she's like the nicest person, super warm, bubbly, and sweet. Mm-hmm. And she turns to me and she looks at my name tag and she goes, oh my God, you're Lauren freaking Smith. She wanted me to feel special too. And I'm like,
that's so nice though. Oh,
so nice. But she writes the best BDSM series because she's done her research. So she is 100% accurate to the lifestyle, to the training, to the safety measures. So anyone that wants to read a really great character-driven universe that involves like a BDSM club and then all the members, that's the Shadowland series is the one that I love the best. I mean, everything she writes is gold, but the first book starts off great with this accountant driving through the dark in Florida during a storm, and she wrecks her car and it breaks down, and this only place nearby is this like really beautiful kind of Gothic mansion, and of course it's a private BDSM club, and of course she can either wait in the freezing lobby or sign all the paperwork that lets her go inside. Of course she doesn't read the paperwork, she goes right inside, and she gets immediately punished for trying to save a woman because she doesn't understand what she's looking at, and then of course she gets spanked in public by the head of the club.
Of course. And he's super hot and super endowed.
Yeah. And he's super broody with a gentle voice. So like I listen to the audiobooks, and Noah Levine does a really good job of this smooth, gentle, like you're like, oh yes, daddy kind of voice. And he just really nails it. And so then the whole series just builds from there, because there's all these other masters that work in the club that are members, but they like monitor other people, make sure everybody's safe, and it's just these different stories with different intensity levels. Like, there's one story, couple stories that deal with human trafficking where they're saving people from human trafficking targets, and then there's others where it's more lighthearted, but you still have BDSM things going on. It's still steamy, but it's not like dark like trafficking. And I had read like up to like book 4, and then there was no many more books after that, and of course life happens and I get distracted. And then a couple months ago, my friend, I was telling her about the series because she's like, I want to read BDSM, I've never read it before. And I was like, oh my god, I have this series for you. So I started telling her about that. I'm like, oh, I want to go reread those. So I'm like listening to them, and I looked at the whole series and I went, oh, there's like another 10. So I've just been like binging the entire series on Audible. So she's been getting all new sales from me to just like buy all these new books that had come out since I had lost track of her. I was like, damn, I forgot how good she is. Like, I mean, it's literally to the point where I'm like, I'm not working today, I'm listening to I'm knocking out 4 hours a day at this point on each book.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I mean, that's a sign of a good book then.
Yeah.
She does emotion so well. She does characters so well. What I like is, a lot of people have problems reading BDSM because they think it's abusive for women, or they think, well, the women are doormats. Well, I love that all of her heroines are like, I will literally throw a punch to save somebody. But when my particular guy that I like is like bend over, you're like, yes. So they're not doormats. They're totally kick-ass, smart women. They all have jobs. They all have careers, and they're just really fully fledged people, and they have relationships with each other like all the girls do, like friendships and stuff. It's like a family that just gets bigger and bigger because you don't lose anybody. Like I'm on book 10 now or whatever, and you literally see every single character in different scenes, but it doesn't feel forced. It feels so natural, and it's just a sheer pleasure to listen to and read.
If you recommend someone, I'll read them, because
and especially because you said it's a good audiobook.
She's from the old school trad style of writing where it's just really rich. It's third person, so it doesn't feel like a diary. The language is rich, the emotions, the descriptions, she sets the scene so well, the settings, but then the chemistry and the physical reactions, everything that you want, like from the good 80s bodice rippers that just like, whew, that's how she writes, but it's so real. Because I think a lot of these modern books today, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of writers that don't take the time to study what makes a sentence powerful, what makes a sentence rich. Not every sentence has to be a big flowery thing, but there should be paragraphs and there should be sentences that will just stop a reader in their tracks. And it doesn't have to be a sexual line. It doesn't have to be, because I think a lot of people write these catchy sex lines, and I see them in cute quotes and graphics, and I'm like, oh, that's great. But then I read the book and I'm like, okay, that was like that one line, but I want so a lot of my readers say, well, you can't just pick a Lauren Smith line. You have to pick a page, or you have to pick a chapter, because I work on creating that feeling for the whole scene. So I may not have as many quotable lines, but I'm like, I have that chapter or that scene you remember. And that's kind of how I work, and that's how she works. And I think it's really, she's amazing at that.
I like that the character is, driving around in the dark and, I end up at this house. I've read that setup for BDSM clubs before, where it's in a house.
I think she invented it.
Did she? Because I've read,
I feel like she did.
she might have invented that particular trope, if you will, because I've read a number of erotic romance BDSM secret clubs where it's like, oh, I'm driving around. Oh no, I'm either stuck or it's raining. It almost opens like a porn. Like it's like, oh no, I ended up here. And then it's like, knock, knock, what's happening? So I kind
I'm
of
not
just,
gonna lie, I love that. It's so corny, but I love it.
I do
Yeah.
too. I do
I gotta
too.
write it at some point.
I love it too. And you know what? Libby and I both live in Columbus. I'm gonna pick Libby up one night and
You
we're
guys
just
are gonna
gonna
go
drive
wreck your car?
around and just see what happens. See, oh no, we ran out of gas. Libby, should we knock on this mansion door?
And I'll be like, I'm happily married. No.
Like, no, we're just gonna watch. We're just gonna watch and take notes.
I feel like that's a story that I need to write where people try to do that intentionally and then the exact opposite zany thing happens.
Yes.
I love it. Well, Lauren, it's a pleasure. Emma, Lauren and Emma, thank you so much for joining us, Lauren. It was fun
Thank you.
catching up.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No
Very nice to
problem.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye. So it's been great talking with everyone. This has been a fantastic turnout.
This has
Libby.
been a sheer delight from start to finish. I am pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, we're going to have to do maybe periodic call-in
Oh, yeah.
episodes. So we have some fan mail from historical romance author Lucy Morris. Lucy's Viking historical romance novels have been discussed on past episodes of Romance Roundup. You've read some, I've read some. We're both
They're all
fans of
fantastic
Lucy.
so far.
And since she lives in England and there's a 5-hour time difference, she couldn't call in tonight, but she still wanted to join us. So I said that I would read some of what she wrote to me. Lucy Morris's current pet peeve is people saying romance doesn't have to have a happily ever after or a happily for now. And her response is that's fine, but don't market it as a romance. Now, as a romance author, do you get engaged in conversations like this where people are like, hey, romance doesn't have to have an HEA? I mean, by
Yes.
definition, that's what it is, but you've had these discussions then.
Yes, I did a workshop at Bowling Green State University last fall, and some of the people that attended asked if a happily ever after or a happy for now was required. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm with Lucy on this. I think 100% you have to have it. There is such a thing as romance elements in fiction, but to me, as a romance reader, and I mean a lifelong romance reader, if I'm picking up a book that says it's romance and it doesn't have a happily ever after, I'm devastated. I know sounds melodramatic, but I'm going to be very disappointed because, and it's not that I don't read other things, but I am primarily a romance reader because I know that I'm going to go on some emotional journey, no matter the subject matter.
Yeah.
And I want to know that the story is going to, even if it's not the perfect little bow, happy ending, if it's a happy for now, I at least know there will be some closure.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%. I don't think it's fair to say that romance is doesn't need to have a happily ever after. To me, and even as a librarian, I would say that too. I think there's enough, call it genre fiction and say it has strong romance elements, but that just seems to be, it's unfair to really fanatical romance readers to say that and then not give them what they're expecting.
I have a comment about happily for now. I feel as if happily for now really is most appropriate for like young adult romance.
Yes.
And select new adult romance, depending on the age of the new adult. Because I feel like in that case, yes, there's a happily ever after at the end, this couple's together, but most likely, given, just how life goes, the person that you end up with at 16 might not be your life partner. So
Correct.
I feel like happily for now applies.
Like you said, it could be an age thing. My only caveat for that, I think, is if it is a fantasy, if it's a romantasy, with adults and there's, external factors keeping them apart and it's part of a series.
Okay.
I could see that. But if it's a contemporary, I don't want to say run of the mill, but a contemporary romance, I do think it needs to just be an HEA.
Also, Lucy recently read and enjoyed paranormal vampire romance, Filthy Rich Vampire, book 1 in Geneva Lee's Filthy Rich Vampires series. And apparently there's 4 books in the series. And so this first book came out in May 2022, which is Filthy Rich Vampire, published by Estate, Estate. So I don't know if this is the author's own imprint or if this is a small,
Smaller
boutique type
publisher.
of publisher. So here's what it's about. Julian Rousseau has a problem. He's single. And for the world's wealthiest vampires, the social season is about to begin. Julian would rather stake himself than participate in the marriage market. When cellist Thea literally stumbles into Julian's life, he knows that she's the last person he would ever fall in love with. She's too innocent, too kind, and too human. But now that she knows about the world, she's also a walking target and needs protection. So Julian needs a fake girlfriend to discourage overzealous vampire matchmaking. Thea needs protection, and she needs someone to assist in paying down her mother's medical debt. So they engage in a fake relationship, sensual, dangerous, provocative, step into a daring new world of dark magic, primal attraction, and breathtaking romance. Now, Lucy did not include the whole description. I decided to include that. That way we would have something to talk about because I'm not familiar with the series or the author or the book.
And what was it called again?
Filthy Rich Vampire is book 1 in Filthy Rich Vampires series. And I wonder if it's kind of inspired by Crazy Rich Asians.
Wait, yeah, no, it was Crazy Rich, not Filthy Rich.
No, I almost thought it was too. Crazy Rich Asians series. I wonder if it's somehow related to that.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when you said the title.
Yeah,
and the cover's really pretty. I just looked it up.
Yeah. No, the cover is really pretty. And again, it's one of those covers. There's no people. It's just a design with the
flowers and
yeah. There you go.
I'm telling you, Liz, you called it. That is going to be everywhere.
I think so. Let's see. And also, Lucy Morris said that she would love us forever if we mentioned that her first ever Regency historical romance, How the Wallflower Wins a Duke, releases this summer on July 23rd.
And I already have it, what's that called? Pre-ordered. I just pre-ordered it because I am reading one of her other books. And when I went to see if there was anything I was missing in the series, I saw that was coming out. And because she is such a delightful writer, I had to automatically buy it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
I need to go pre-order it now too.
For once, I'm ahead of the curve.
You are. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that
Thank you.
that you've embraced Lucy Morris.
No, she's fabulous. These Viking books, I know Regency is not Viking, but I'm sure I will still love it.
Oh, yeah.
Because her writing, the chemistry, so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she includes just enough historical accuracy to keep it interesting. But again, not dry.
Lucy does a lot of research and she's passionate about the research. When you're passionate about the research, that makes all the difference in the world and
it
understands it. And she understands it so she could break it down for us, So How the Wallflower Wins a Duke is about Marina, a music composer who meets a sexy duke who wants a fake fiance to please his mother while he goes on an extended trip to the continent.
Ooh.
A gamble with cards leads to a fake engagement between these independent souls. Unfortunately, they can't keep their hands off each other. Yes, so that's How the Wallflower Wins a Duke by Lucy Morris.
I am super excited for that book.
I am too. Thank you, Lucy, for writing into the show. Thank you to all of our Zoom call-in guests, fans, Emily and Amy, authors, Felicia Grossman and Lauren Smith, and Gramercy Books bookseller Nikki. We appreciate all of your love and support here on Romance Roundup.
We certainly do.
Oh, yes.
Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.